Discord.
Nice.
Let me do that. Mm, 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 mm. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Let me check. I can find the streamers too. Mans too. 1, 2, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hello,
1,
hello.
2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hello,
1,
hello.
2, 3. Just sometimes like changing the OBS settings. Nice. Oh. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. Position here, as I'm always saying.
Nice.
Let me know, Remy, if you are down to start. Let me know. Let me know.
Ready to go. Excited.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, in my very new episode of my Dev Life show. Today, I'm joined with Remy Karns, who is the creator of Classroom Aquatic and also a social giraffe. I'm very thankful and very honored that you joined us for today's episode. Like I'm always saying, let's start with a little bit of introduction. So please introduce yourself for us.
Oh, thank you. Well, yes, as Remulto has just said, my name is Remy Karns. I'm the lead developer for both Classroom Aquatic and A Week in the Life of a Social Giraffe. And I'm really grateful that you called me over here to talk with me. Always grateful to chat about the cool games that I'm making and talk to people who are excited about them.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So my very first question would be like always, what was your very first contact with video games as a player, if you remember those times of your past?
Oh man. Okay, so I actually do remember the very, very first game I've ever played. It was an old PC game. I played it on my grandmother's computer. My parents, when I was like an infant, they were going around doing a lot of business trips, and so that I would be left with my grandma. And she had a computer that had two things on it. You can write on it, and I remember writing a ton of gobbledygook on it because I was like 3 years old. I would just like type away like the next great American novel, and it's all just gibberish. But the other thing that you could play was Popeye. This horrendously bad knockoff of like Donkey Kong is what I remember, and it was just unplayable for someone of my mental state of like 3 years old. But I played so much of it. I was just like watching all the stuff happening on the screen, going like, "How can it get better than this?"
Nice, love that, love that, love that. And from that point of your life that you loved playing video games, like you said, what was the first stick in your head that you realized that, hey, I would like to make games, not just play them? So what was that transition time in your life?
I used to vehemently be against me making games. I was like, you know what? I love playing games, but I want to talk about games in a very academic format. When I was in undergrad, I was in UC Berkeley. I wanted to like learn more about video games as a medium. In Berkeley, there's a program where if a class is not being taught by like a professor, if you get sanctioned by a professor, you can teach a class. And so there's nothing about video games as artistic mediums and stuff like that, and that was what I was fascinated by. So I spoke to a professor who allowed me to teach a class on video games as art.
Nice.
Then in grad school, I went to a video game design program because that's what I wanted to focus on, was sort of like the theoretical idea of video games as a medium of art. And so I wrote a bunch of essays, and they looked at the essays, and they graded them poorly, and then I was like, you just don't understand what I'm saying, so I'm going to make a game so you understand what I'm trying to say. And I made a game, and I was like, this is great. I should do this more often. I got to make more games.
I see, I see, I see, I see. Did they took away your confidence by those low grades, by the way, when it happened, like you mentioned?
So My academic career is full of teachers who are just cutting me down, but I always rose back up. I will tell you that nothing cuts down my confidence like I can. Don't worry.
Nice, nice. I can relate to that from university times, by the way, that there were some teachers in my life and professors who like killed my motivation about studies. Yeah, it happens, right?
That's you'd think that that's not why they would get into teaching,
True,
is
true,
to
true,
like
true.
grind you under their heel.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A more personal question from me would be, by the way, were your family members, parents, and close friends supportive about this decision that you were so much into video games that you wanted to teach about video games and also make your very own games? How do you feel
You
about
know,
it?
they've always been supportive in sort of that super apprehensive, perfunctory way where they're
I
like,
see.
Remy, we will support you 100% with anything you'd like to do. But have you thought about law?
I see, I see.
So like doing much better now. They like to see what's going on with Giraffe. The development history of Classroom Aquatic also like just like they were like, okay, what about coffee? Do you think you can work at a coffee shop? But now that Giraffe is kicking along, they're kind of like seeing, okay, maybe it was a fluke, growing pains for Classroom Aquatic, why the development for that went south. But now that Giraffe is coming well and everything else seems to be lining up. Everyone is like, "Yay, Remy, go make the video game."
I see. I see. Does it affect, by the way, like your mental or emotional state that they like only started to care about it, like you mentioned, when it grew out of like the start?
Again, like the
Or it
haywire
didn't
stuff
bother
that
you?
happened. No, so of course it bothers me, but that was like the step 7 in like the staircase that I was falling
I
down.
see, I see, I see, I see.
Uh, so a lot of bad stuff happened with the Classroom Aquatic development, which is still ongoing. I apologize to anyone who's still waiting for the game. I'm still making it. It's been horrible, but I'm not giving up. And so when it got bad, they were like, okay, well, this is strike 17 for like terrible things that have happened.
I see.
And when that happens, like I've already kind of beaten myself up for every mistake that I've made. So the good news is I'm in therapy. Been reading a lot of great therapy books, and piecing myself back together. What is that called? Like the art of like breaking a vase and putting it back together in. Whatever that is, you got to do that to yourself. Whether or not your parents are going to be the ones who are like smashing you, you got that from like being raised Jewish. So already old hat what the parents are going to do.
I believe that parenthood is important in like finding yourself again. I think it's the most
That's
important
true.
thing in my opinion. Like I see it on a lot of my friends that if they had like a disconnection between their parents or with their parents, it's always like a hard time for them to love others and also like to learn how to get love from other people. And that's how you
Uh,
like start to get back to your parents, talk with them about like childhood problems that you had. So yeah.
That's real true. I guess I am lucky in that regard. I got to be grateful for the fact that my parents, they've always been behind me. We've never had any like, terrible rough
I
spots.
see, I see.
So that's nice. That's nice.
Do you think, by the way, it's important for you to have a supportive, mentally supportive background in order you to chase your dreams and make everything that you want in life, or do
I
everything you?
think that it's basically like saying, I'm going to take life with one hand behind my back if you're like mentally unwell while you're trying to do it. Uh, Although there are some like exceptions where like, this very obviously mentally unwell person is like humongously successful in life. For the most part, you kind of need to be able to wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm okay today. That's
True.
very helpful. Very helpful.
Very true. True. Very true. Very true. So let's talk about Classroom Aquatic. What was the influence behind that game? Because it's a more personal project, if I understand it correctly, right? So it's like more of your own game.
No, so the good news is that asocial draft is also super
Oh, okay.
personal
Oh,
too.
okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, so Classroom Aquatic, I mean, it's personal for a different reason. It's my very first game. The inspiration for that was actually way back in 2011, 2012.
I see.
VR kicks in, and we see me and a couple of friends that there's like a contest going on for like a 5-minute video game. Now, before then, I was highly critical of all VR games that have been like, created for the demos and everything like that. Every time I put on a VR headset, I thought two things. The tech is very cool and people have no idea what they're designing for. I really hated that they were either treating it like, oh, it's just another screen. Take a video game and then put it on there. And it's just, if that's what VR is, it's just another screen to look at video games. Absolutely not. It's a completely different way of viewing video games and interacting with things. And then other people were like, you know what this is? It's the holodeck. And it's like, no, it's not the holodeck at all. You can't treat it like a pure simulation thing. It's very much like a clunky piece of like hardware that's on your face and weighs like 5 pounds, and you get sweaty in there. So you got to like really design around the limitations of this cool piece of technology. And so I kind of went out there to be like, I'm going to make a game that doesn't do all the stuff that I really hate that people do with VR games. So I made sure that you're sitting down. I made sure that looking is the main interactive element of the game. I made sure that there was a purpose to look all the way around you, because so many VR games, and it still ticks me off, you just put on the headset and you stare forward for like 90 minutes.
True.
Why? Why do you even have the headset then?
True.
So I wanted it to be dynamic, where you're looking around everywhere, and I didn't want you to get motion sick while you're doing it, so you didn't walk around anything. You were stated in the seat. And that was the biggest inspiration, was to be like, we need to make a game that shows how to design for VR. I used to say it's the Super Mario 64 of VR, because it's like, this is the transition from 2D to 3D. This is transition from single passive screen to active wearable screen. The other thing is just like, I thought that it was a fun thing for anyone to come into where they would know the situation that they're in. You go into like, a VR game and it's about like being like a space hunter and you're like trying to shoot aliens and stuff like that. Not everyone's going to have the context for that.
True.
But everyone has been in class and they've had a piece of paper put in front of them and they've read the first question and then they go, oh, I don't know.
True.
Everyone's been there.
Very true, yeah. What about, by the way, the underwater theme of the game? What was the influence behind that?
The idea behind that was that I wanted to have like a diegetic reason why you were like wearing goggles on your face.
Oh, I see.
And the reason you're wearing goggles on your face is because you're underwater.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Other than that, like I'm also like a master diver.
Yeah, I know that. I
love the ocean. Yeah. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Yeah. I love diving.
I made the research.
I haven't. Oh, dude, thank you. But it was just like a personal thing about it. If you were going to do anything, would you be cheating on aliens? In which case, like Space Quest 4 already did that. But I wanted to go underwater because I love the water. Originally, we were going to have like a whole cast of characters of like different type of sea life there. But like we chose dolphins because it's like, well, the dolphins, they look better than everything else. And if it's going to be different animals, then like, would you have different ways of cheating on them? And so I really wanted to keep the arcade focus while also keeping a strong theme. So dolphin school. Dolphins are smart. They eat a lot of fish. That's brain food.
I see. Is your game, by the way, will be available non-VR playable, by the way? So
yes.
will you be able to play without it?
What I always tell people is I'm porting it from VR to non-VR.
Oh, I see.
So
backwards.
Is it still playable? Exactly.
Nice,
it's still playable. Definitely changes the feeling of the game. When you're playing it in VR, it's super simulational. You feel like you're there. And I really like how imperfect it is, but it allows for a lot of like non-traditional play. So when you're playing on mouse and keyboard, you're pretty much tied to the spot. You've got some rubber banding for how much you can lean around, move around, and it feels very tactical to like go through and play it really quickly. But when you're playing it with VR, doing the little side kind of thing, you can't do that on mouse and keyboard. Moving the head down in order to just like see beneath like them, can't do that in VR. Doing the whole stretch and then leaning over, which I see people do from time to time, I love it when they do that. That's only a move you can do in VR, and it really is made for VR.
I see. When players can be able to play your game, by the way, you told us at the beginning that you're still making it. Is there a release date planned for it, or no? Or spoiler time?
Complicated development history of Classroom Aquatic means that like I need to finish A Social Giraffe first,
Oh, I see.
and
I
then
see.
the team will immediately finish Classroom Aquatic. The good news is that shouldn't take too long. Like, the game was a terrible development cycle, and it's all my fault, by the way. Every wrong decision you can make, I've made.
But it's a learning phase, right? So at least hopefully you learn
I
from
would
it.
love it if the learning phase didn't take more than 10 years. Believe me, the people who have been waiting for this game, you're so patient. I am so sorry. It's my fault. It's all my fault. But I want to get it out as soon as possible. I don't think it's going to take a ton of time to get it from the state it's in now to releasable, because we've not been like over designing the game. It's all just been me screwing everything up, and then having to like stop and start a million times over. So the game is like completely done designed. Most of the art assets are completely done designed. The art assets that are missing, it's not going to take a million years to like make a 3D object and like texture it. It's now that I've got like a competent team. I shouldn't say competent. That's very rude. Now that I've got like a team that I can vouch for their quality. That's also very rude. It's been a shit show.
You're honest at least, right? So you're honest.
I
at
have
least.
to be. Look,
Really,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
I appreciate that.
be like 11 years delayed for
that's
my first
show
game and go.
about,
Things are going great.
yeah, I understand it. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the path forward is clear. I just got to be able to like put good people on it, and then we will get it done, and it'll be the best it can be. We're not rushing it. It's going to be the best it can be. Don't worry, I'm not like over specking it. It's going to be a game where when you play it, I hope that the first thing out of your head is not, this took 11 years. Please don't. I'm sorry. But I hope that you also think, oh, this is really fun and polished. It's great.
I see. By the way, what problems you mentioned? There were a lot of problems. Can we go deeper into the rabbit hole? What problems you had during the process of development of Classroom Aquatic? Because I'm interested. So
I know very little coding, and VR was, I mean, the code for even official VR stuff way back in the day was made out of like, popsicle sticks, bubblegum, and duct tape, right? It was tough. There was no unifying code wrapper around it either.
I see.
And so it was also like really, really lucrative to be a VR developer. So you have people coming in who are like, I want to work on this game, and then they get 2 weeks in, and then all of a sudden they tell me, I'm leaving for another company unless you can match their cost. And I look at their cost, I'm going, you're making that much? I wish I knew how to program. And so the code just like chip, all the way down for like just comments of like, yeah, probably kind of do this maybe. And it's for old versions of VR. And everyone is also like looking over the shoulders to the next job. I tried to pay people as best as I could, but that got drained away really quick because you got to pay people a lot, and then another company is able to do it more. It's all self-funded. I never got a single dime from any company. It was just me. And
I respect
it's
that.
kind of tough to do. Look, I'm trying to. I literally did try to make this game within my means. It's just that, like, and again, these people, it's not their fault.
It's understandable.
You and I would do the same thing. Exactly. And again, like, what can you get? 15, 20, 25% of this game on sales versus like this much money right now? Yeah, it's like understandable. So the code base was never clean. It was always for old versions of headsets that need to be updated. And it was just kind of like a sinkhole. Like every time that someone would come in, they'd have to have worse and worse code to like look in, and then every other job looks more and more appetizing. And eventually you have to nuke the entire project and make it again. And then the same thing happens. You got to nuke the project, make it again. It was just not fun. I would not suggest anyone do the dev cycle that I've done. And that's why it's taken so long. I apologize too that like this hasn't been like a major news announcement. Like, why the heck hasn't this been like,
No, it's understandable.
Sad.
I don't think that you should like be sad about it, because it can happen, right? You might chose the wrong people to work with, right? So it's not that they were not good or something. It's just like you mentioned, some people go for the higher money and not about the passion for the project, right?
And well, again, like it's something that I should have known. I keep on saying I'm the captain of the ship. It's lost at sea, and that's I can't look at everyone else and go, well, damn.
True.
Right?
True.
But it's been a non-traditional dev cycle with weird problems, and I was also just naive. I literally made this when I was still working on my master's degree, and then I made it my thesis and tried to hit the ground running with it. Knowing how to design a game is way different than making a game for a professional thing and running a company and stuff like that. But again, I'm disappointed in myself, but I'm remorseful for all
You
the fans
shouldn't
who've
be, in
been
my
waiting for so
opinion, because
long.
you still have the passion. I can tell that from our talk and our conversation, and it's sad to hear that when any of us works with others, it can happen, right? That they delay our passion projects, and it's sad to hear. It's sad to hear, in my opinion.
Well, to your point, I've had a lot of people tell me "Oh, I'm really sorry this all happened, Remy," and I'm like, it's terrible. I'm seeing a therapist, and they go, well, so what are you going to do after this? What's next on your horizon? And I go, oh, I've got a billion, pitch decks for the next game, and they're like, you're still going to go into gaming? It's like, yeah. Why wouldn't I? I love this stuff. The only thing I don't love is the stuff I'm screwing up, but games, I love them. I love them.
True. And the most sad part about this, that like you mentioned at the very beginning of this topic, is that players, if they do not hear our interview, then they will think that, hey, what's happened? Why it took 10 years, right? And that's the sad part about from the player's perspective as well. That's why I made this show, because we need to talk about these problems that people as developers have, right? So people do not
To be
understand from the
perfectly
player's
frank, yeah.
perspective that it can take like 10 more years to make a game, and it might not be the main developer's fault that like it took so many years to make a game. And
To your point, there was a real brief period of time where I was in a super doom spiral, and one of the things I kept on wishing was, I wish I heard about other developers who were stuck like I am. Because then the worst stories I would hear was we were in the thick of it. It was terrible. It was no good. It was very bad. But after the 3-week delay, we finally got our act together. It's 3 weeks. Ah! I'll tell you the worst moment of my life. The worst moment. This was the worst moment. Is that I was at a convention. I was showing off Classroom Aquatic. This build was broken as heck. It was just not working. And I was just sitting there. I was waiting for another person who would be another programmer who would hopefully be my life and savior. And spoiler alert, they weren't. But anyway, someone came up to me. They were very nervous. They were very timid. They were like, hey, Remy. And I'm like, oh, you know my name? Do I know you? And he's like, no, you don't know me, but I wanted to thank you. I was a little kid and I saw Classroom Aquatic and I fell in love with it. I'm like, oh, buddy, thank you. Thank you. I'm so sorry it's taken so long. And he's like, oh, listen. You inspired me. You inspired me to become a game developer. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's awesome, dude. And he says, and so I went into a program and I learned game development. I'm like, oh, that's great. He's like, and then I started a company and I've just released my first VR game. And I went, ah! You can't make your first game before I make my first game.
But it's understandable that you were angry at that moment. Yeah.
I wasn't. I was gracious. I was shaking his hand, but there was just a high pitch going in my head the entire day. I was like,
that's Popeye moments, right?
Yep. Oh my.
Yeah, it's understandable. Yeah, but at least you did your part, even not releasing your game. That's the real form of art, right? That only from gameplay.
The real form of art is releasing the game. I gotta finish it.
Yeah, man, that's sad. But I really hope that you will get to that point to finish it, and you will also get to that point to like reach your calm mental state, because it's important, right? So it's not just about you releasing games and making your dream projects alive and to launch and to show it to people, but it's also you being healthy, because it's at the end of the day, that's what really matters, in my opinion. So
the weird thing is that so again, I didn't go through this ringer before Classroom Aquatic. People have been telling me, especially because I've been doing so much of the therapy stuff now. I've been eating a million books about wellness and post-traumatic stress disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I got diagnosed with ADHD. That took me like for a spin, but like that sucked. You ever like think like I'm a unique personality. I'm like someone who's like a different snowflake than anyone else. There's no one cut like me. And then you like are told by a therapist, here's like the diagnostics for ADHD, and you're like, oh look, it's who I am. It's right there. It's my entire personality on
Yeah,
like
but
the DSM-5.
to be honest, I don't believe in these books that much because a lot of therapists are gurus who like of course teach how to deal with people, but they are teached and they are not using their own life experience to like
Yeah, yeah.
help
There's
people.
an entire sort of like self-help racket out there too.
Exactly,
Like
exactly, exactly. So it's good that you're reading books. It's not that I'm telling you an advice that don't read books or anything about it. It's just I feel like you have to find solutions by yourself without books and without
yes.
therapists, in my opinion. I talked to a lot of friends of mine who went to therapists, and the biggest mistake and failure that they were telling them is that like to leave the past behind, which is like a very common thing that therapists say. It's so a stupid thing, right? Because if you want to heal, you have to go back to your past, right? Like you talked about the
I
parent
agree.
stuff, right? So you have to go back to your parents and talk with them if you have problems, for example, with them. But in your case, it's not true. Like you said, you have love with your parents, but still, like I feel like I don't like downscale the work of therapists and all the people who work in this field and who help others. It's just I feel like a lot of them are like structurally taught how to deal with people and how to help people's mental illness, which is fine because they learn for it and study for it. But still, I feel like it's a how to say it. It's like you won't be able to feel people's problems, right? You will be only able
Especially if
to
you're just
react to
saying like
something
don't think
that they
about it.
say and to like build a structure from it. And it might be not true. And I remember myself that it's not me building my ego. It's just an example that I had so many friends, like I said, who went to therapists. Nowadays, a lot of people go to therapists because they feel like it's the easiest way, right? To either to like easier way, like to solve their problems on their own. And when I talked to them,
That's
and
the way they're told to solve it. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And when I talked to them and I gave them my advice, it helped more than the therapists. And they told me, "Hey, why are you not going to like, work as a doctor in this field?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to work. I just want to help people." And I think also a good friend of mine told me that those people who go for, in this field, they mostly are like also mental sick people because a normal
Mm.
person would not go to this field, right? Because they don't want to deal with like mental sick people. And it's true, I know it's very rude to say, but it's true. I had these examples of seeing.
I agree with that entirely. Look, again, I understand everyone's going through some stuff. I used to tutor like
Don't lose
mentally
yourself.
handicapped
That's
kids.
what I wanted to say with all this stuff that I said. Don't lose
Oh no 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 no.
yourself.
Yeah, it is definitely stressful to do all that. But what I'm trying to say is actually like I feel like it's kind of nice that I am getting like better because people tell me like you seem to be doing better, and I was like, oh, I'm getting back to where I was
Also, I
when
believe in
classroom talk
that
started.
if you can say out loud your problems, your mental state problems, that you're
Yes.
already healed, right? So it's like you have already gone through a phase of like being down very much, in my opinion.
Putting it to words certainly helps instead of just having it inside you and then you can't do anything with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Uh, yeah, you gotta name the problem so that you can tackle it.
True, true, true. They also feel like people overestimate being happy and being like very sad because I feel like people are pretty much addicted to being sad nowadays, and people pretty much addicted to chase the happiness, and they do not understand that if you are hurt by others, like in your case, you were hurt like by your colleagues who worked on your games and with you on your games. It's like it can be very easily done that you will get frustrated and sad by those things and get addicted to that feeling, right? And also chase
You're
happiness.
certainly
That's what should
expecting
I do
it.
to be
Yeah.
happy? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it really was sort of like a bang and bust sort of era. Like uh taking that idea is like, what are you going to do when like, you're knocked down? You got to get back up and you got to charge forward. So it was kind of like every time that happened, I was like, all right, I'm burning the boats. I'm sacrificing everything. I'm going to go faster than I ever had before. And then it inevitably would like lead to the same position because I never like did anything different. I was just doing it with more enthusiasm. And after a while, it was like thinking, well, then does having enthusiasm like mean that I'm always going to hurt myself? And that's really what like sent me into the depression. Was like, man, I've tried 3, 4, 5 times. Every time it's like cost me more and more. Maybe if I just stop like caring, like things won't hurt anymore. And like you said,
You
like
won't be able
the
to.
not feeling sad, only being happy.
You won't be able to.
That's
I'm the same person. Like I have passion for a lot of things, and whenever I go for my passion projects, I'm always knocked down by others, even if I don't work with others. It's like they only judge me for something, and it's happening. Like if I can see that if you are just working a 9 to 5 job, you will also be knocked down by others, but not that much. Like if you're working in a passion project or on a dream, right? Because it's like it's getting rare and rare that people are working on dreams, because we are getting to a life cycle in our society again where like people starting to criticize those who are working on dreams. I feel like so. And
we could do a little bit better with a little bit more encouragement. Wouldn't
exactly.
they like encouragement too? Like that's I've always been kind of like a yes and kind of guy. Like and I never understood. I don't know why it came naturally to me. Maybe I'm just a people pleaser, but I never really understood that like other people can see other people and they're like they're doing pretty good, and their first thought was, well, I wonder how I can cut them down. I don't get that. It's hard for me to like put my brain in their brain when like their
I
prerogative is
think
that.
it's not intentional from them. I think it's rather more that they are suffering in their life, and that's how they are not trying to like how to explain. They are trying to drag others down, like you said, but it's not on an intentional level. It's just it comes naturally from them that they would like to feel a-okay by dragging down
Right.
others to their level, right? But they
Right,
might be
right, right.
not wrong people like in their normal life, or not bad people at all. It's interesting. It's interesting, and it's like you said. It's very true that people spread hate more common than love and then positive thinkings and then sayings and opinions. It's sad. It's sad because like you said, it's very true, and I agree with you totally. That's we could use some more positive attitude from people. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, everyone here watching the stream, do yourself a favor and do everyone else a favor. Be a little kind, be a little
True,
supportive. It's kind
true,
of nice.
true, true, very
Kind of
true,
nice. Maybe you'll get addicted to it. Maybe you'll be like, man, helping people kind of feels good.
true, true, very true, very true. What about the social giraffe? What was the influence behind that game? Let's talk about that game as well.
So, Asocial Giraffe, A Week in the Life of Asocial Giraffe, is actually something that my girlfriend started as like a little passion project for her own
I knew
self.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Somehow I felt it. Yeah. Somehow I felt it. Yeah. Somehow I knew it.
So we had been
See,
playing
therapy,
Animal
therapy
Crossing.
session.
Yeah, exactly. No, we'd been playing Animal Crossing, and then she was like, playing it, and I was like, oh, so how you liking the game? And she says, I like everything about like the game itself. I think it's really polished. I think it looks great, but like I hate it when like villagers come up to me and start talking to me, and I'm like, hey, ain't that like the purpose of the game? But okay. But so she later was in a game jam, and then she made a prototype for this game that was going to be like basically Animal Crossing, but the whole goal of it was to not talk to people. And then I looked at that and was like, that's a really cool idea. That is such a good idea. You should make that into like a full game. And then she decided to make it a full game.
Oh.
We were going to do like the Animal Crossing thing, but I told her it's probably better to do like a point and click adventure, because she was like mapping out like everything you'd have to do to make an Animal Crossing game. Animal Crossing's huge, by the way. Like if you viewers out there are wondering like how easy would it be to make like an Animal Crossing game, you'd have to be Nintendo to basically make
True,
Animal Crossing.
true. Very true.
So I was like, what if you could do like a point and click adventure? Because I grew up on those too. Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle, all like the Sierra Adventure games and stuff like that. Torrens Passage, man, I played the heck out of Torrens Passage when I was a kid. Not a great game, but oh man, the memories.
True,
Anyway,
true.
And so I thought it was really funny to do like a point and click adventure game where the whole point of it is to not talk to people. Because point and click adventure games, the whole gameplay loop is you are in a situation that is completely absurd, and then you start talking to people so that they can give you clues about what to do next. Could you design a game where the whole point of that was to not do that critical step? That was the fun of like the design concept. And I get to have my cake and eat it too, because when you do talk to people in the game, they do give you a hint, and then they talk a lot.
It's interesting, by the way, seeing the first screenshot of your game. I remember that, and seeing the trailer that the human beings look up to the giraffe, right? And they are so hyped
Hmm.
about him or her. I'm not sure if it's a him or her, but probably a her, right? Because of your girlfriend, right? So it's a her. It's a female,
No,
or
so
we don't
she
know.
wanted it to be a male. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Me personally, I don't. I think it's okay without a gender. I'm a big fan of like if you want to like put yourself in there and make your own sort of like thoughts about the game, you go right ahead, buddy. The only thing that like we have that's like standard of what his character is he's definitely a giraffe. He definitely likes matcha. He likes sushi,
I
and
see.
if you talk to him, his head will explode. I guess yeah, him. But yeah, the character is always kind of like a he.
I see. I see. I see. I see. Will be
Uh,
will he
I
like?
forgot the question.
No, it's okay. Like what was the influence? But you talked about it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
Right,
the question.
influence. So influence. Animal Crossing. The idea of like it's a cheery, friendly neighborhood sort of like situation where everyone is coming to you in order to solve all the problems that they have to do. The only problem being is that if they ever get to that point, you lose. Your head explodes. And so it is something of a puzzle stealth game where what you're trying to do is navigate the entire world of like people needing you to do like small favors for them, making sure that they don't see you or they have all their needs met or someone else is helping them. And then you can go off and do really exciting things like work out at the gym or make some sushi or go to the grocery store. Very exciting things that you do in the week of the life of a social giraffe you're playing.
I see. Will he, by the way, change throughout the game for a more like open-minded person, or sorry, animal, or it's a spoiler
So
time question?
So it's a little spoiler, but not a spoiler that I want to keep hidden. That yes, this is not just a story of like, hey, here's like a bunch of like crazy random things that happen throughout the week that you have to do. Haha. We kind of market it that way because I think like it helps keep like the people who are completely unaware of the game who might be enticed by that to have sort of like the surprise of, oh, there's like an actual story that it's telling. But this is a story of like entrenched behaviors and wanting to change when
I
like
see.
you've like made your entire life around avoiding a problem that you
I
have.
see.
Wanting to connect to people when that's the hardest thing that you can do, and how that's sort of like a how do you like begin to solve that kind of situation. That's the underlying story of the game. Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Love that message. By the way, nice. So we talked about the influences of your game, and I would like to say that I believe that all of us creators who make our own craft, create our own craft, they always intend to put our inner self into the craft we make, right? So either it's like love or feeling down on having loss in our life. Is this statement of mine true for your projects as well? We talked about it, that it's the answer probably will be yes, but could you name also some more examples to this question of mine?
Oh, definitely. So there's definitely a lot of me in all this stuff. And it's because I gotta write what I know. I gotta design what I
True, true,
know.
true, true, true.
I know what it feels like to be completely unprepared and then have to like break the rules in order to like do what is expected to you, and to kind of delight in it because it's kind of fun to like say, "Ha ha, teacher, you didn't see me," and to get rewarded for it with a good grade.
True, true,
Uh,
true, true.
and I also know what it's like to like not be able to talk to people
Did you
when
go back to
all
them,
you
by the
want
way?
to
Sorry
do
for
is talk to
interrupting
them.
you. Sorry for interrupting
Go
you.
ahead.
Did you go back to them, by the way? Telling them that
Uh,
you made games?
oh, the teachers and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Yes, 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 yes. Correct.
Uh, they didn't care.
Oh, you showed it to them.
So I did show it to my teachers when I was in grad school, classroom aquatic. It was a good reception from many of them, but it was also a weird reception from some of them. Game design schools back in that time were still going through growing pains, and I think some
I
of
see.
them were either trying to do the hard knocks teacher kind of thing of being like, well, you got to do it again. I haven't seen Whiplash, but I'm going to do my best impression,
I
right?
see. I see.
And other people, I think, were more concerned with like writing a book than really teaching the class and stuff like
I
that.
see. I
I
see.
don't
I
know.
see.
They had their own kind of stuff that they were dealing with, and then they saw my thing and they were like, "You're just a kid, and like you got a Kickstarter that you're doing. Come on, man, you're gonna crash and burn." And they were right. But again, many of them were also like, huge fans of it too. I felt a little bit like weird because some of them were like giving me the cold shoulder, and I was like, well, I don't understand what's going on. I just wanted to show you this cool game I made. uh, anyway, I'm sure that like once I dig myself out of this hole, then I can then have the gumption to go to them and say like, hey, I got the game done. How's it been? I know it's been like 15 years. I hope it hasn't been 15 years since I talked to them.
You know what's interesting, by the way? I feel like, from our conversation at least, I feel like if these examples, when people like try to push you down on the rabbit hole and make you depressed about they are not like helping you on your way, uh, these things and these examples in your life helped you even be more passionate about your project. That's how I feel. Because I feel like if
Yeah,
these
yeah.
examples did not happen, you might not be that passionate and that hard worker in your dreams, right? So
To your point, like a lot of the
because
stuff
I
that I
can
do,
relate
like
to I can relate to the same, right? I had some teachers in
yeah,
school who told me like it might not be working out for me, and I remember myself like in my country it's like very rare and uncommon if like a person is going to go on the road for being a journalist or a writer or author of books and poems. And I chose this path, and I worked very hard in order to gain my style, in order to learn, and in order to be passionate and stay passionate about it. And I had so many failures because of people loving my writing style but not loving my message that I want to give with my writings. And it was so sad and so annoying at the same time, but it still made me work even more harder. I just have to take
yeah.
breaks so I can relate to your story because of my example.
I mean, so maybe there is that kind of frustration that like you might have had as well when people said no, this can't work, and then in the back of your mind thinking, yeah, I can make it work, buddy. Just give me a second.
Exactly. And I think that's why they are saying it, because people who say it, they are probably not that passionate about the topic that both you and they talk about or teach or study or learn or work on. And it's sad because like it's a very like weird coincidence that people do this all the time, that they are trying to push down others. And I feel like there are successful and happy stories like yours and mine that we, even being depressed or sad throughout our life, we still like stick to our dreams and our vision, but at least we like don't give up. But I feel like there are so many stories, right, where people give up because of these downscaling people who downscale their message and dreams and what they know and what they want to know and what they want to do with their knowledge. And it's sad because like, who are you to change other lives for the wrong direction, right? So you're not God, but
Right.
somehow at the end of the day everyone is trying to play God, right? So it's like sad.
I'm sure it comes from a place, at least sometimes. Maybe not every case. Maybe there are just like those people out there who are just like, I'm gonna be a dick today. But I think a lot of people might just be like, worried and care, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
I think that was a lot of people with me, and again, I'm grateful
True,
that they
true,
they
true,
told me in
true.
so many words that they care about me. But the way they saw it was, wow, I think things aren't going great, and I should have been a little bit more understanding of like, hey, maybe things aren't going great in ways that like I'm not seeing it too, because then I would have been like, I got to change my hiring practices. You're right, but again, but I agree with you. I think that people are mostly they got the intention to be good. I think not many people wake up in the morning and go,
True.
"Time to be devilish."
True. It's just I think that they have these struggles and they are trying to avoid it by like downscaling others and hurt others. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They don't want to see other people succeed because it might say like, "Hey, I could have succeeded."
True.
That's a good message to have. Is like, yes, you could succeed, man. They succeeded. You could do it too.
True. Going back to the original question of mine, what other examples could you name from your life that like influenced you and had you in your projects, in your games? We talked about it a lot, but are there any other examples that you would like to mention?
I just had a conversation with a friend who was like, they are petrified about playing Dungeons and Dragons for the very first time, and they're like, I can't figure out a character to play. And I'm like, well, I mean, so what do you want to play? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, well, what's the main reason you want to play? They're like, well, I want to have a character that I can role play. And I'm like, okay, so like you think of a character that you can role play. And then they were like, okay, I've got an idea. It's someone who's like someone who's really into astronomy. And I was like, great, you know a lot about astronomy? And they're like, oh no. I was like, oh well, then why do you want to do that? It's like, I don't know. I thought it would be cool. And I was like, so buddy, you're putting on a performance, you're putting on a mask, and that mask you want it to be cool. But when the mask is talking, you behind the mask. So you got to think about what you want and why you're doing it.
True, yeah.
And then it's not like you can't succeed by being so good to perform the mask, but like it's going to be a lot easier if like they say, why are you adventuring? That you can give your answer through the mask.
Very true.
So if there's anyone out there who also thinks like, oh man, I gotta like copy this, copy that, copy the other, it's great to like learn like the skills and stuff like that. But like, if you know what you want to say, you just got to practice how to say it in your own voice. So it'll be like easier because you then you know what to say.
Very true. Very true. I feel like people probably are scared, a lot of them, right? So that's how they end up like in this situation that they are wearing a fake mask rather than having a very honest mask.
I was about to say, like, so you're interviewing a lot of game designers and game developers and asking them, like, hey, what's been bothering you? I wish that I had that because in like the real doldrums period of like Classroom Aquatic when things got like really bad, I would hear all of these talks from like 18-year-olds wearing leather jackets and sunglasses indoors on like a giant stage with millions of people going, here's how I did it in the tech industry. I did it without any failures at all, and I am tenacious, and I was just born different. That's my talk. And I would just feel like I'm screwed. I kind of wish that there was just someone out there who's being like, "Yeah, buddy. Oh my God, you think you had it bad?
You still can watch back all the episodes I made, right? So they will be helpful throughout your journey now, and you won't be able to get back to the rabbit hole again. Hopefully, yeah. But I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It would just help me feel like back then I wasn't the only one, right? That all the problems in the world weren't centered with me. It would have been nice.
But you still made it out of that time, I feel like, and you're here now, and you're honest about it, and that's what I appreciate the most, because it's not just helping you, but helping others too. There might be a person who is watching it and helping them to survive those times as well if they are having in their life. So yeah, it's hard, and that's what a lot of players do not realize, like I said it before, and I'm saying it a lot in my episodes. It might be boring to some of my viewers that I'm saying it so much, but yeah, it's the sad part about like the player's perspective, that a lot of players do not understand that yes, it's real human beings who are making games, and they have problems and they have like issues in their life, even if it's not about their health, maybe a wrong person to work with, maybe other people downscaling their knowledge or their talent, and that's how they get upset. Who knows? But you have to be patient with them, so you shouldn't be a dickhead from the player's perspective and say, hey, why it's taking so long? Hey, there is a bug, this game sucks. You shouldn't do that. Like, no, nobody. Like, you have to be
little
patient.
understanding goes a long way.
True.
Again, like I'll just say that, like on terms of my end, I kind of get why some people are mad at me. I get it. When people be like, "Fuck you, give me a refund," I'm not going there like, "No, fuck you, I'm not going to give you a refund." I just give them a refund. I'm like, "Hey, buddy, I'm so sorry. I get it. Let me just explain to you in a private message. I can't make a fucking Kickstarter announcement about this because nothing is going to be fun about that announcement." This is another point I wanted to make. When you were saying about like being honest about it, it's so hard to be vulnerable. Like if I was trying to search for a job in like the industry instead of doing the indie thing, what would I put on my resume? Failed at making a game for like 12 years, but I still got a hope and a dream. I don't think that like anyone would hire me.
I don't agree
and
with
the minute
that.
that you say,
no, it's not true what you are saying. In my opinion, there are so many companies who appreciate the struggles. I feel like, especially nowadays when there is an industry where a lot of people leave or a lot of people are getting fired, because I think, like you said, it's very true that there was a time and era in the video game industry where like everyone thought, especially from the player perspective and the media, that making games is like, you know, only a fun thing. Like it's only fun. It's not a hard work, it's fun. But nowadays I feel like people are more and more open-minded about it, that yes, it's a struggle, mostly a struggle. There is a fun part, but there is also like a struggle part where like you, even if you are stuck within a bug, you know, for weeks or for more than 1 year, or you meet the wrong people to work with and you have to downscale or rescale your project, anything can happen. Or you have health issues in your life, anything again can happen. And that's, I feel like the more we go forward in time, the more people realize it. And I think it's
The
good because
mystique
like
goes away.
it's
Yeah.
also good for the work part of the industry, right? The job part of the industry, because that's how they will be able to be more like open-minded and more patient about like the people who work for them, right? So
That's true too. That's true too. So there's a lot of growing pains in the industry right now.
true, true, true.
I talk to a lot of friends who are designers who work for real big companies, and a lot of them are going like, "Ugh." It's like, I get it, man. I get it. It's interesting. I know I said that like if I was gonna try to like get a job at a bigger company, they would like laugh me out the door. You said no, they'd hire me. To be perfectly frank, like I don't want to work at a big company. I'd
Yeah,
love to
that's what
just
I
keep
wanted
making
to
my own
say. Yeah,
games.
exactly, exactly, exactly. Like you have
uh,
so of
it
your
made
own
yeah,
visions to make that you would not want to work for others, right? And you also had
and
those times of your life when you worked with others and they didn't work out, right? So like
I
again, of
I
that,
tried to do it,
of those
and what I
examples.
learned was, man, I gotta do it my own way. I would have loved to learn how to do the polished stuff like AAA budget companies like instill into their teams. I've worked with people who've worked from like big companies, and they've got that sort of like apprenticeship like drilled into them. Like
Mm-hmm.
they know how to streamline the process goes. Would have been super helpful for me to like understand all of this stuff. But they also kind of like just again, like you said, like they're not following their passions. They're making the next Call of Duty, and the most that they can hope for is that the targeting reticule will have like the little glint that they've put into it. Glory to them for making it work and then being happy. I really would like to like make my own games and be able to like show people, hey, this came from me. Isn't this super cool? Yeah. I couldn't imagine another way of living.
True, true, true. But I feel like also it's very true in other territories of everyone's life, is that it's very hard to find those right people who you can work with a very high level of passion, that they understand your vision, right? And it's not even about like only understanding your vision, but also like to stick with it, like, right? So for a long time, it's not just like you said, there were like only few weeks that they worked for your project and they left because of the higher salaries, which like again, it's understandable that they are going for the money, but it's also like a very sad thing. If that would happen to me, I would be very sad and I would be like, oh man, why, like I can relate to that. And it's like,
You cry for the first couple of times.
yeah.
So the way I would describe it is that I got a friend, and this person, she has never dated anyone in life, and I tell her like you should like have 5 bad relationships real quick, just real quick, so you know what bad relationships are like. Because
True,
otherwise, you're
true,
gonna
true,
marry someone blind, and you're just gonna
true,
hope that
true,
like
true,
it's
true,
a
true,
good
very
one.
true, very true,
And
yeah.
then I'm telling her this because, man, I just like decided the first people I worked with, I was going to partner up with them. Oh, bad idea.
Yeah, yeah, it's very true what you're saying now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. By the way, what's the painting about that I can see behind you? I'm very interested
the,
in
the
that.
the color one,
Yeah,
full
it
one.
gave me a bit of a Crash Bandicoot vibe. That's why I'm asking it.
No, so this is my girlfriend's from China, and this was made by like one of her aunts. It's all beads. I don't know if you can see that, like, but it's all like literally beads that are like into this like big grid that shows like this very colorful sort of like Great Wall
Yeah, I see it. Yeah,
landscape
yeah,
and
yeah, I
stuff
see
like
it. I
that.
see it. I see it.
Uh, and she gave it to my girlfriend as a gift, and I fucking fell in love with it. I was like,
Very
this is
nice.
so cool. It's like a pixel art game. I want to make a game that's like inspired by this
Nice, nice, nice,
uh,
nice, nice, nice.
because I just think like it's so cool. Takes me back to like the old school days when everyone was doing like the Sierra kind of like adventure game kind of
True, true,
stuff.
true, true, true.
Uh, I don't know. I love having
The
little things that
gamey games, we
inspire
can
me.
say,
Yeah.
right? The gamey games, the fun games,
Yes.
the very fun games.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love that, love that, love that. So, by the way, throughout the journey of your life making these projects, making these games, what was the most satisfying, most happy part or parts about the process of making these games?
So it's not my favorite thing is not just like when I get something to click. When like something in gameplay is not feeling right, and then you do one thing, two thing, three thing, four thing, five thing, and then like the sixth thing, like finally you play it and you're like, ah, that's smooth. That's smooth as butter. Uh, for some reason, I kind of like just love the collaborative element of it, where I bring something and I'm like, this is the correct answer, guys. This is how we need to do things. I know I got the brains on this, and you're just gonna see the. And then the rest of the team looks at it, and someone says, "What if we did this?" And I go, "What if we did that? Yeah!" That's my favorite moments is when someone surprises me like and comes in and says something that I wasn't expecting because it's not in my brain and it gets in there and then all the cogs turn and I'm like that's the correct answer. It's one of my other reasons why I like getting people who like I completely disagree with to work with me or from completely different backgrounds. You get something from there who rather than someone who's like an exact carbon
New
copy as
flavor,
you.
right? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. You got to be naturally curious about like what other people say about this
True,
stuff.
true, true, true.
We got a whole bunch of people who are going to be playtesting the build, and I'm like trying to make sure that these people are like people who've
Let me
never
know
played
about that.
any
I
point
would be
and click
down to that
adventures.
too. Let me know.
Yes,
Let me
absolutely,
know.
absolutely.
Nice, nice. Love that.
But yeah, that's my favorite thing. About making games, yeah. I mean, everyone's going to say like creating a game, finishing a game, because no one is going to say like from the bathtub graph of like pleasure of making a game that like their favorite part of it is
The
just like
journey
being stuck in the
itself.
shit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
QA testing the same level 45 times because that bug that crashed the game is not replicating itself. That's my favorite point, said no one ever.
True, very true, very true, very true. So what about the hardest part or parts? You talked about your favorite part. What about the hardest part or parts? We talked about
I
it a
mean,
bit, right? So is there anything that you would like to
I
add?
don't know if other people will relate to the fact that my least favorite part of it is to like liquidate everything you own, give it to somebody, only for them to say I can't work for you anymore because I got a better opportunity elsewhere. Like that was my least favorite thing.
Okay.
Boy, it doesn't get easier like the third, fourth, or fifth time you do that either. Um, but look again, like this is the stuff that I had to learn.
True.
The problem I had was again like I just like I told my friend you should have 5 bad experiences with like dating and then you'll like be a lot better off because you'll know like a bad spouse. Otherwise you won't have that experience. Boy, I should not have married those people. That was a bad idea. So that was my least favorite thing. I keep on telling people that I've made so many mistakes that I just hope for the next game I make at least half of them. Like just to see that they're like the list of them is coming down. Uh, Other than that, I mean, like it's something that everyone else will relate to. When you know it's just not there yet, and you
Same.
can't figure out why, and you have to keep on just like typing in what is the goal of this level, and then you're just staring at the screen. It's like to be fucking fun, asshole, and it's not. uh, Having to knock your head against the wall, 100 times is not fun. But the 101th time, when it finally jogs the idea that rattles down, and you go eureka, oh, it's worth it. It's worth it.
True. True. You have to push yourself through those times, right?
You're not gonna figure out equation for a math problem by chewing gum. You just got to
True.
keep on working at it.
True. 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 Our university professor always told us at like math class that to these examples you have to take a look on the table that I wrote on the math problem and you have to look and then solve it. That's easy. That easy it is. We always laughed at it like he was
There's
right
there's
about
no
it.
other
Yeah,
there's
exactly,
no other magic
exactly,
trick. Like how do
exactly,
you get the job done? By
exactly,
getting the job done, man. You got to work at it.
exactly, exactly, exactly. Were there, by the way, anything that you had to cut out from your game so far throughout the process of making your projects come alive?
Nothing that I had to cut out, but there was stuff that I did cut out because I was like, this is a terrible idea. Classroom Aquatic, like originally we had like a whole smorgasbord of different like things you would do in the school,
I see.
and then we like made little prototypes of them, and oh my god, they were not fun. And so I was like, I'm not putting this in the game. They're terrible. Could I have worked on them until they were better? I think that there was a ceiling to the quality of what they were going to have. I think that like the test taking mechanic was the most fun, and so I was like, I just want to explore that. Then I'm going to make this mechanic that I know is fun the entire game, and I'm going to expand it and make it more complicated as you go on and master it and make sure that it's the best it can be, because this is the meat and potatoes of the game. And for Asocial Giraffe, nothing that I had to cut out so far, because everything that I really wanted to have in needed to like fit. The one thing that like kind of sucked for like a day was that we had this idea that like every day would end with a dream, and then you'd have like some sort of like super abstract puzzle that you would do. Then the narrative changed, and then we were like, well, then do we need these dreams in there? And I was like, no, cut them. And I was like, oh, it's too bad. There's some good ideas in there. But then I just took the ideas that were good and I turned them into different levels. So thankfully, no babies had to be thrown away with the bathwater for anything like this. So that's one of the benefits of being able to say like it's got to be like the best game it can be. Is that if I have like a real dear thing that I'm like holding on to, well, I'm holding on to it because it's good. I'm not going to hold on to it just because I thought of it and I'm a special boy and like everything I think of is great. It's got to stand on its own 2 feet and walk. Yeah.
True.
So yeah.
I see. By the way, as a lover of old school video games as well and loving physical editions, are you planning to have physical editions for your games as well? Just a digital version of your games?
This is where I'm not in syncopatico with like everyone else who plays games. I love digital distributions of games. When Steam first came out, people don't remember this, but people were like, I hate Steam. What if they close down? I won't be able to play Half-Life on this because I won't have physical media. And I just kept on thinking, I lose CDs all the time. They like get scratched. I can't play a game anymore. I think this is better. But I don't know how many people still do play physical media. And I kind of really want to see like a Switch version of like Asocial Giraffe. I just want to see like a box and like to hold it and to like show it up to people and go, look, it's right here. You can touch it.
True. You can go back to their teachers again, right?
Exactly.
You made it.
But in terms of like, am I gonna like push for that? I'll figure out how to do that, and if we can get that done, then yeah, we gotta get that done. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like, I
would love
like
that. I can tell you. Also, merch like a figurine or a plushie.
Oh, I was about to say I'm a huge fan of merch. Not merch for like merch's sake. It was weird. I went to Japan recently, and I was a little bit turned off because like so much of like the video game culture there seemed more sort of like what's the right way to say it? Momentum based, I guess. That like they were just buying stuff in order to buy stuff, I was like, I don't know, it should mean something to you. It should be like something that you cherish and love. So I'm a big fan of like making stuff in universe in like physical format that is good. This T-shirt I'm wearing, that's 100% us.
I can see that, yeah.
I have a very nitpicky kind of thing where like a video game T-shirt for something that I want to wear is like some like piece of crap like shirt that like you wear it once and it stretches and it rips and you put it in the wash and it disintegrates and like you can see like your favorite game just like stained on every other piece of clothing that you have. No. This shirt is comfortable. It's got silk screen printing. It feels nice. Look at that awesome graphic. Oh,
nice.
Man.
Love that.
I love it. And so, yeah, if someone is like passionate enough that they're like, I love this game, I want to have something that like reminds me of this game that like I can see, touch, feel, everything like that, then it behooves me to say like, well, don't you worry, buddy. I made something for you that is awesome and you're going to love it. And it's not going to like be something you like wear it once and throw it away.
I
This is a
respect that,
nice
by
thing.
the way. That means a lot to me. Yeah, nice, nice, nice.
I mean,
Yeah,
again, I get it. Like, just throw the fucking logo on the back of the shirt and then like put it on custom ink or something like that and click the cheapest option. I get it. I
you
liked the
just can't
idea of
do
like
that. Yeah,
finding
yeah.
like a local silkscreen artist and saying like, here's the design. What do you think? Talking with them, making something cool.
True, true.
Like I'm gonna have to find the guy who made the shirt, and when we have them on for sale, I'm going to make sure that it's linked to him. Yeah, because again, like you work with cool people. They're passionate about what they do, and you want to show other people, look at this passionate guy. He worked
True,
with us. You want to like hit him up. That's
true.
that's kind of like the
Networking
rising
system.
tide lifting
Yeah,
all boats and stuff
exactly,
like that. Yeah.
exactly. That we talked about. That some people lack of, like they trying to, rather than helping others, they downscale others. Yeah, yeah.
The kind of thing of like there's huge drama because someone clipped out like the tag of like art that people made and then they repost us like, why did you just clip it out? Just tell them that they made it. Come on, man.
True, true.
What the
Very
heck?
true. Very true. Very true. How have you changed, by the way, as a person in other territories of your own life from being a game developer? We also touched this topic, so you also like somehow read in my mind and answered this question me already. But what other changes did you have other than being,
Changes from being a game developer. I
yeah,
mean,
in other territories of your own life from being a game developer?
I think it's kind of a chicken and egg kind of thing. I've always been naturally curious about how people do things, and
I
I've
see.
always been super curious about like why do some people find this fun and some people don't find this
I
fun.
see. I see. I see.
And so I've always just been like wondering this all the time. I love the design of things. I love how people interact with it. I love how you can design something that people will naturally interact with things. It wasn't sort of like the whole teapot design that I guess was like really popular in like some design schools. Like, oh, naturally you're going to hold it here, not here. Da 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 da.
True.
I liked restaurants. I liked the idea of like, wow, I'm naturally walking here and I'm waiting here and then I'm going here and then like that's interesting. Seeing when waiters are coming in, when they're asking you these things, they're a little bit like dungeon masters in that way, right? They're like
True.
giving
True.
you an
True. True. True.
experience, and they're
True. 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 True.
breaking character at certain times and stuff like that. Uh, so the experience of it was always something fascinating to me. It wasn't even the interactive element. I learned that back in undergrad when I was doing the whole sort of interactive media kind of thing. When I was like first year, I took a rhetoric class, and they told me like, the one lesson I got from that was like, you're not just like reading a book, you're doing an experience. Like the words on the page, how
Very
they're
true.
indented,
Yeah.
turning the page. This is the experience, and how does this color it? And that kind of like opened my mind of like, oh snap! So like it's not just like the thing that it's saying; it's like the whole thing.
True. True.
Marshall McLuhan's Medium of the Massage. Always a good read. Yeah, so I wish that I could say like the game developer aspect of me, I work like this. No, it's just that I was kind of like leaning into this stuff, and then the game developer sort of like had like fit perfectly then.
I see. Thank you again, by the way, for your honesty. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I'm already got every reason to have like the glowing red weak point on like my body. I can just talk about it.
I love that. Do you feel like now that you realized going through your mistakes that you are still on the right track, you a bit of a like found yourself again in life, like sticking to your passion?
I always want to like say that like, hey, I'm trying to get better, not because I'm like bad, but like I would hate to know that like if some divine angel came down and said, hey, by the way, today is your best day, then I'd go, well, shit. Every day after this is gonna kind of suck now a little bit.
Very true. It's also true, yeah.
But what I also say to people is that like, man, like imagine if Classroom Aquatic, I didn't have any of these problems, and then I tried to make an even bigger game, and then I had these problems.
True.
So I'm again got to be grateful for the experiences that you have.
True. Very true. I respect your mentality, by the way. Thank you for sharing this mentality of yours and these stories. By the way, are you
I
down?
hope other people can be like. Oh, you were gonna ask me if questions? Yes, guys out there, questions.
Yeah, go
I'm
for
ready for
that.
them.
Go
Let's
for
do
that.
them.
Go for that. Thank you. Let us know. By the way, I know it's morning time at my place, but wakey. Let us know. Let us know if there is any or there are any questions. There are any questions. I still have some questions, but let the chat also come to the
Hello,
place
chat.
where
I'm sorry, I cannot read anything you said. I don't have the Twitch open, but I hope you guys are doing
I
well.
will also share the Steam pages of your game on my chat as well, because I shared it on or in my Discord. Sorry, I will also do that on my Twitch chat. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay. By the way, you said, while we are waiting for a question, so you said that you always love to challenge yourself. What challenges would you like to take in the future as a game developer?
So in the future, I have like a whole bunch of games that I've got ideas for,
I see.
and I've got a couple of games that I want to program. I think it's not good that I don't know how to program. First of all, boy, it would have been good if I knew like how to vet code that was coming my way in the past. And also, like it would just kind of help me to like be able to like learn this stuff in case I want to rapidly prototype. The way I do stuff now is basically like paper prototyping or like going on to like Google Docs and making a slide deck and seeing how it looks like as like a comic book kind of thing. There's a lot of use for that, and like I'm fast with that. But I'd like to be able to like play the instrument if I'm writing like music for it.
True, understandable. Yeah.
Other challenges like would love to do like a multiplayer game in the future. Like so
Okay.
much of the stuff that I'm doing is like single
Okay.
player experiences
Love
and
that.
stuff
Love
like
that
that.
idea. We
And
need fresh multiplayers. I can tell that. I can tell you that. And
very
you have
true, very
fresh
true.
ideas, so I'm in love. I'm in love with your ideas. So yeah, show us
Uh,
some
uh,
multiplayer games in the future.
I would love to. I would love to. If I
Nice,
get to
nice,
the point where
nice,
I can like make a multiplayer game, heck yeah, brother.
nice. Respect that. Would you by the
Mind if
way?
I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure. Do that, do that.
So I don't mean to bring any negativity here, but this is something that I think is, that excites the passions. You asked me what like some of my first experiences were and stuff like that, and like inspirations. Could I ask you, what is your least favorite game?
Two, it's hard because it's funny because I'm still that dying out dinosaur who loves playing with all games. So I still
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
find a vision and a message with which I enjoy the game I play. Least favorite game? It's hard. It's a very hard question.
You don't have to have played this game, by the way. It could be one of those
No,
games
no,
where
no,
you
no, no,
see a
no, no.
trailer and
I
you get
don't.
irrationally angry.
No. I don't, and I don't like form opinions about something that I haven't played. I never do that.
It's a lot healthier.
Least favorite game. Okay, it's you caught me on that. It's a hard question. Um, I don't know.
No worries. Take your time.
Probably I would say the new sports games. So like FIFA, NHL, and
Yeah.
NFL. Because like I remember myself playing on the PSP NBA 0.8. I love that one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And somehow after when I like was in university, I started like realizing that these games having like very minor changes. Like they are having a lot of changes, but those changes like are not affecting the core gameplay that much like they are promoting it. And
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
I was since I was more like of a person who does sport than play sports games, since I played tennis on a tournament level when I was a kid for a lot of years till like 16 or 17 years old. Then I stopped.
That's awesome.
Thank you. And I wasn't into like watching sports, but I was into like playing video games, which were like sport oriented, like I said, on the PSP, NBA, FIFA Street. But they were like more gamey games, if we can say so. And they switched to a very different route, being like these very like, you know, simulator type of things. But when I realized that they have these like gamble system with card packs openings, you know, that
They
pissed me
had to
off.
put that in, and it was so
Yeah,
sad.
exactly. So it probably I would say these sports games, these new era sports game, not the old ones. Like I love like FIFA, NBA, and all these sports game till like the eighth part or
They
eighth
had like
years.
real game design chops behind them. I remember
Yeah,
I had a friend
exactly.
who's like a dude who like put so many hours, like hundreds
Exactly.
of thousands of hours into like Dota, and his next favorite game was like NBA 2K, like 8 or 9, like you said. Like there was a
Exactly.
sweet spot there where these games were like, dude, you're crazy if you're not playing this.
Exactly.
I remember too, there was like an NBA game that like Spike Lee did the story for. And like the big evangelizing thing that I was telling people was like, dude, someday a sports game is going to win Game of the Year for its story, and it makes totally sense. Just think about some of the greatest like movies ever made.
Exactly.
They're sports movies, Field of Dreams and stuff like that. Like it made sense to me. And then the industry just decided, how can we squeeze the players for everything they've got?
Exactly.
And it's like, I get why you have to do that.
But there
you
is a
gotta
very
feed the beast,
interesting sport game that is coming from, if I'm being correct about it, from the creators of. Oh, I cannot recall the name. My bad.
I'm excited about this.
There
though.
was a karate game in which like it was a physical based game where you have to fight. I cannot recall the name. And they are making a soccer game with the same mechanics. It's just you have to smack the ball with your hands and legs.
That's cool.
Let me Google it.
Sure.
The game's name is Rematch, if I'm correct. The football game.
Rematch.
Yeah, and it's a multiplayer game, and you're yeah, rematch. Yeah. And the developers who are making it are Shifu. Shifu. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same vibe, but it's like a football game. You're seeing the whole persona, and it's a multiplayer game, so you can all of your members in the team are controlled by a player. It's like a
That's
4v4
super cool.
or 5v5, but it's a very addicting looking game. So it really bring back the fun, inner child's aspect of playing football and sports. Not that like tournament based and very strict and but that fun core. Like you go out the street and play with your friends. So I miss that, and also probably again another like sport oriented game which I loved SSX series, the snowboard games.
Yep.
And I love the PlayStation 2 episodes as well, and I love the PlayStation 3 as well. It was just called SSX, and then they dropped those series. And then, if I'm being correct about it, Ubisoft made like similar type of game, having not just snowboards but like bikes and cars. What was it called? Riders of the Republic or something like that. No. That was another project from them. Okay, I'm being rusty with the names or titles of the games.
No worries.
Yes, so Riders of the Republic was another similar game to that formula, but SS6 oriented Ubisoft game, SSX. I typed SSY. What was it? Oh, Steep. Okay. Have you played Steep?
Oh, I never heard of it actually.
Yeah, it's a Ubisoft game. It was very similar to SSX, but like it was SSX was more arcadey and gamey. Steep
Mhm.
was like more professional and more like um, strict with strict controls. And it
Mhm,
was
mhm.
also very like I don't know. I didn't feel like I am totally over controlling the player itself or the persona itself and the tricks I do. But in SSX, it was
Mm,
like very like non-realistic thing that you could do
yeah, that
in
was
those
what's
games.
fun
But
about
they
it.
were exactly they were fun. But in Steep, it for me, I played like I remember playing, giving it like a try and playing it like for 50 hours, trying to like realize what would be the fun part for me, but it didn't felt like SSX, and probably that's why. So I feel like people end up like combining games and making similarities if there are similarities between games, And that's how they end up like saying that this is a better game than that. But I feel like Steep could have used those like fun aspects of SSX series. So that was another
Mhm,
like this kind of like moments where I like realized that hey, there are some games which were better than Steep. Like so yeah. But other than that, I don't know. For story oriented games, I love story oriented games. So if there is a story, it always brings me into the game, even if the gameplay loop or the gameplay aspect is not the greatest thing in that game. So it
I can
always
forgive a bad game with a
yeah,
good story.
exactly. For me too. I never was a technical guy, so I never cared about like FPS. If an FPS drops in the game. So for example, I always name this example of playing Drakengard 3 on PlayStation 3. I love
Mhm,
JRPGs,
mhm.
and it run like by a 25 FPS on PlayStation 3. It was like frame dropping all the time, and even especially at the boss fights. And I enjoyed so much the story. Like I didn't care about like having these issues in the game, And it was rated one of the worst JRPGs of all time. Although for me, I loved it. Like it had a freaking good story. So for story games, I mostly do not care or do not. I'm not being sad if the gameplay aspect is not the best. Because
Mhm,
I can
mhm.
tell that the story was crafted perfectly. And there are some games which are not that story heavy and they are like gameplay heavy, more gameplay heavy, but also like they are comforting the player with the gameplay to understand the story itself, like the environmental storytelling. For multiplayer games, mostly I enjoy most of them because I always love to like play with friends. So it's like
Yeah.
that's why I say always that I'm this dying out dinosaur that trying to obtain and play with every game and have fun with all the games. So I'm still that naive kid, is trying to like enjoy all the games, which is not good in a way. Like my friends always hate it. Like whenever I hype up a game, like oh again a new game. Why are you doing this to me? Like it's 1K games in your library and it's even more and more and more, and you are trying to play with every game, and you can't be a person like that who loves all the games. And no, I love games. Like I
There's like a huge component, and this still is like something that I have to remember, is that like a lot of gaming out there are people like you're describing, where like I play video games. Oh, like what's some of your favorite ones? And they're like Call of Duty. That's the only game I've ever played, and I've put like 12,000 hours into it. And it's like, oh yeah, you people exist. There's a lot of those people, and I'm like you. I'm like, all right, well I've got 7 games this week. I got to try all of them out to see what
true,
they're
true,
doing.
true, true, true.
Uh, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, oh right, I don't know how like your brain chemistry works, but like I'm totally different. That's fascinating. That's fascinating.
True,
Uh,
true. But
but yeah,
it comes from my
go ahead.
childhood perspective as well in my life, because I remember myself when I didn't know about like video game piracy, and my friend always brought me uh, PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360 copied discs, pirated discs, and I got like I don't know 100 games, 100 discs because I helped him learning English because he sucked at English, and
Right, right, right.
yeah, and he in exchange gave me like 100 discs for a weekend. I was like, okay, try this one. Okay, I had fun. Try this one. I want to know what's on the disc. And you couldn't know because there were no names on disc. You had to guess, right? And you had to play what's on disc. And I played so many games there. So yeah, probably that mentality took me over, and I just
Different mentality now, but like, yeah, you learned lessons back then.
true.
Back then, like, it was twofold, right? You get to like, rent a video game from Blockbuster if you've been like good, and school saying like,
Old school
you didn't
times,
like,
yeah.
bite the teacher or whatever. And then like, what were you gonna get? I don't know. Like, they never update the stock. You're just pulling a game off the shelf and going, I
True,
haven't played
true,
this
true.
before.
That was a
Maybe I'll
wonderful
try this.
feeling, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you had to play that game because it was the only game you had.
True, true,
I had
true,
another
true.
friend.
People
The thing he
respected
kept on
games more
saying.
by that chance, right?
Well, were they worthy of respect sometimes? Because my friend, like, he
I
only got
think
like
yes.
one computer game a month, and so if he got a game, he had to play the heck out of it. And he used to say, "I played Menzo Berenson," and I looked at Menzo Berenson, and I was like, "This game is like 80% just blind tunnels where you just move forward, and if you go the wrong way, you die." And he's like, "Yeah, and I beat it. I beat it."
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, different times. We our cup runneth over, right?
True,
There's like so many like amazing games coming out
true.
like all the time. I've got games that I still need to play that like I
I
just
have a
haven't yet.
huge backlog list. I can tell you that. Yeah, that I tried, but
I'll tell
still
you,
haven't finished it.
I have not played Baldur's Gate 3 yet.
Same, same,
I'm
same. I
waiting.
tried it out,
Uh,
but I still have to finish it. I can tell. Yeah.
this game is sick. I'm one of those people where I'm playing like an RPG with choices that I'm like seeing like 4 choices and I'm like, well, I gotta make a quick save and then I gotta have 4 new
True, true,
loads
very
because I
true.
need to
Yeah,
figure out
yeah,
what all these
exactly.
things
Again,
do. And
experiencing everything, right? So
yeah, exactly. You gotta know what the choices mean.
true,
And
true.
then these sick people at Larian give you hundreds and hundreds of meaningful choices. Ah!
True, very true.
You
Yeah.
could play as every single character, and it like has its own mini quest that has different endings. You're sick. You're sick, Larian Studios. How dare you think about people like me?
Very true, very true, very true. Yeah. Yeah, we have to respect these times where we get so many good games. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Just yeah. Any questions out there,
No, no,
or
no,
yeah?
no, no. People are lurking. Like I said, it's morning
No
time
worries.
at my place. Yeah, yeah. But they will be able to ask questions at the Discord server as well, so they can do their homework. What would be, by the way, your advice for those people who would like to step into the video game industry from all those experiences of yours? Oh, and sorry,
Uh,
sorry, sorry. Before I will go into this question, let me change my mind. Sorry. My original question was, so you were talking about like always challenging yourself, and also you were talking about the fact that the literature class and the books you read at school helped you develop out this mentality of yours. Would you rather choose a mentor to challenge yourself and study and learn in the fields that you would like to get your knowledge up, or would you rather choose learning and studying by yourself?
yeah, both of them are good, but I think that like in order to have the other one mean anything, it has to be like internal too.
I see.
If I have a mentor, I'm plumbing them for as much information as I can because there's a wealth of information. But that's coming from my own sort of like motivation of like, man, I want to learn. And if all I have is like a library card and a weekend free, then I'm learning
I
something.
see.
I'm
I
going to
see.
go out and do it.
I see.
If I had a mentor and I didn't have any impetus to go out and say, like, hey, I am this today, but tomorrow I want to be this plus one, then I just sit back, relax, and be like, okay, well, I'm going to load up a couple of rounds of Dota, and if I win, that's great, and if I don't, that's great too. That's it's just not me. Some people out there are like totally fine being them, and I'm not saying they're wrong. Glory to them for like being that state of like mental wellness where you're like, I am okay with me. I wish I felt like that too. But one of the things that I love to do is learn something, and so because of that, I feel like that's the sauce. You got to like have that impetus in you. Not that it comes naturally. I think that you're also taught like the value of like always learning something.
True.
That curiosity
True. True.
element. I
True.
think
True.
that
Very
like
true.
you can be shown that like like there's a whole world out there full of cool stuff. And the minute you realize, yeah, there is a lot of cool stuff out there, is the moment that you go, I want to see that cool stuff. I want to learn that cool stuff. So yeah, always be curious is what I would say.
People sadly box their life into this like bubble, and then they really forgot about like that in their inner child form, in their very childish years they were more open-minded about learning, right, and studying and having these all these experiences
Yeah.
into their life, and learning from those
Well, like you've been
experiences.
saying, I think that comes from them just like being punished for doing that, right? Like every
Exactly,
time they step
exactly,
outside, like they
exactly,
get hit with a rake,
exactly.
they're just not going to go
They're
outside. It's
stopping.
understandable.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Sadly, I would say. Yeah, yeah. What would be your advice, by the way? Like I asked it from you before, from all those experiences like you have, to those who would
I
like
mean,
to
again,
work on
like
games.
I do not want to tell your audience, like, hey guys, you should listen to me. I have not made
No,
my first
you
game
can
yet.
be honest. You can be honest. Like I said,
Uh,
it matters. My show is about honesty, so it matters.
so honestly, whatever you're doing in life, you gotta have the impetus for why you're doing that. If your impetus is, I really want to make cool games, then you should go out and make cool games. If your impetus in life is, I want to play awesome games and like have ideas for games, then it's totally fine to do that
True.
too. Like we value so much that like there are people are who are creators and stuff like that. If you want to be just like the fan who also like has dreams, then like yes, you can realize those dreams, but you're also just fine like not having to put your head to the grindstone and going, well, I'm going to chop this out and put it on HIO or something like that. You got to find what the passion is that makes you want to do what you want to do. Creating stuff is great. Give it a shot. If it's not fitting for you, that's fine too. Maybe your thing is making like food that's based off of your favorite game. Maybe your thing is like composing music. You should just go out and try a lot of cool stuff and figure out how people are doing it. And if you got the gumption in you to say, I could do that, or I've got a new way of doing that that I want to try out, then good on you. The one thing I would say is that if you are starting out, please be reasonable and please be okay with like cutting the scope. There's a story that I keep coming back to. I feel so bad for this guy. For a hot minute, I was like trying to do some like consulting for people. I was like, I'm gonna be Mr. Serious Video Game Man, and it'll help me fund my company. So if you want to, my rate is this much an hour, and you can talk to me about how to make a game. And so the first guy I met with was like, "Hey, so great to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay, so we're starting now. Let's go. What is your game idea?" And he goes, "Well, my game idea is Grand Theft Auto, but," and I said, "Okay, I'm going to pause this time. You can't make Grand Theft Auto, man. What are you doing? That's way too big for you. You've never made a game before. You know how like they've got an army of people working on that. They've got like a dev team of like 200 people who only do traffic. Like you can't do Grand Theft Auto." And I tried to like tell him like let's make a game about a triangle that hops on platforms, like just so you understand like what's going in there. Uh, and he did that, and he got super passionate about that. I really liked that. There was another person who I spoke to who had like an idea for like a game, and I tried to tell them like let's like make another game, and they said the only thing I want to do is make this game, and I was like, well then this is what you would do, right? This. Here's the realistic path forward for making this game. And I never heard back from them, and I think it was because they were like, well, if I can't make this game easily, then I'm just not going to make it at all. Take your dream game and always hold on to it, but like if you come up with like a game idea that's like just based off of one of those inspiration cards that says make Mario with a jetpack, then make it the best it can be, because like you are making something awesome that other people might find awesome.
True. True.
Uh, and be okay with saying like hey, I made this, I put a lot of thought and effort to it, love to know what you think about to make it better, and then go off and like learn from that and do another thing. It's all just like putting in the time and effort and energy and keeping an open mind in order to learn how to do it better the next time. There's no magic sauce to it, or else someone would bottle that up and sell it on some
Not the
website
recipe.
somewhere.
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly. So have fun while you're doing it, know why you're doing it, and then just keep on challenging yourself to do it better the next time. That's not just for video games, it's whatever you're doing.
True.
See whether or not like you can celebrate doing it great this time, and then always think, but next time I'm going to do this.
Very true. I believe, by the way, that all creators are always put a message from their life experience and from what they would like to either preach or either teach to the people, what would be those messages in your games that you would like to have for the audience that will play your games, even if it's not intentional message, like to put it into your projects?
I guess the connecting thing is that life is like really amazing. That's kind of like the thing about both of them. So Classroom
I
Aquatic, very
see.
different from that. It's like, being completely unprepared for this test and then like cheating your way through it, getting guilt tripped for it because you know what you're doing is wrong after a while, and like you're not actually learning the lessons. Uh, and Asocial Giraffe, Week in the Life of Asocial Giraffe, you're going around having a lot of fun, not talking to people, and it's a game about being so socially anxious that you can't connect with people, and it's fun and it's cartoony, but like it's kind of sad, isn't it? I
True.
won't go into the full story of it, but like, yeah, the character wants to change.
True.
Uh, and maybe I am a little bit of a sucker for like a bittersweet story, but you got to have the little bit of a bitter to really emphasize the sweet. And
Exactly.
the sweet thing to
Agree
like
with that
remember is
totally.
that like life is pretty freaking cool out there. Like you can go out there and you can like meet people. You can learn this stuff. It's stuff that shows you that like it's not like the doom and gloom. It's not
True.
Diablo,
True.
right?
True. True. True.
There
True.
is a tomorrow that you can look forward to.
True. True. Speaking of all of these topics that we talked about, why do you think like people are not that open-minded nowadays? A lot of them, at least from my experience, to chase their dreams, to use their talent in order to work on the field they would be more happy about. Like, why are they stuck in these boxes that we talked about when they are not loving their life and they still stick with that shitty life, other
I'm
than
gonna
or rather than like
start
changing?
preaching about Georgism and say it's because of the rising housing costs around the world, but uh, it's a risk. It's a risk. If you told me, hey, I'm going to pay you X amount of money, and then all you have to do is give up your dreams, my X amount of money is kind of high, and for some people it'd be lower. And it's not lower for them because they don't hold on to those dreams. It's probably because they know what it's like to go hungry, or like they've got people that they need to support. Like it's very understandable where someone says, "You're kind of nuts, Remy. Like this has financially been a huge burden on you to do this." Like I can't tell them, "Yeah, but believing it is like the only thing that matters." It's been painful. It's been rough. I've had to like do a lot of stuff just to be able to survive. And a lot of people might look at that and go, if that might happen to me, maybe that's not going to be that. It's both like sort of like the realistic component of it, where in order to follow your dreams, you gotta not do the career path kind of thing for like the traditional stuff, where you like can discern when you're going to get promoted and when raises are going to come, and therefore you can live in this house in this neighborhood and have this many vacations in a year, which was what people are looking for. Some people's dream is the 2-bedroom, 3-bath with a backyard so the dog can run around, and that's beautiful. Uh, and then for a lot of people, that means that they can't write the great American novel. And then when they see a friend who says, I'm writing the great American novel, maybe they think in the back of their head, why do you get to do that? Like, I'm excited because I put a freaking barbecue in the patio and you're telling me that you're following your dreams? Buddy, like, that's not how life is. It wasn't for me. Uh, and again, that's understandable too.
True.
Uh, But what would help a lot with this is to like, focus on mental health for yourself and for everyone else. And I'll go back to the Georgism thing. Just build more housing so that we can have a lower cost of living. That's true everywhere.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. Yeah. Thank you, by the way. We touched here a lot of topics, by the way, and before I will go into some closing questions, is there anything that you would like to add to the whole conversation that we had around all the topics, even if like it's your personal life experiences, games, future plans?
Future plans? I mean, the future plans I've got are to finish Giraffe and finish Classroom Aquatic, then figure out the next game we're doing. I've got a whole bunch of different ideas that
Yeah,
we
you
could
mentioned
do.
you
I've got
have
to
a
pick.
big list of all the ideas, yeah.
You don't like work on one game for
True,
like
true, true,
11
true. You're
years without
constantly
like
thinking of ideas, right? And you're always like being
exactly.
influenced everything you see, yeah.
And sometimes the game ideas are just the screaming game where you go, isn't it done? Anyway, But other than that, like, what other cool stuff have I been doing? Other things to say? Going out there and learning cool stuff and be kind to each other. I hope everyone else there is doing good. Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you.
not really one to like, lord on people to say, here's the one piece of advice.
Yeah, it's understandable. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like I said, I really appreciate your honesty. It really means a lot to me and to my show and to my audience. So thank you for
Uh,
that. Thank
Thank you
you.
for inviting me on. I appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation with you, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that too. Thank you. So my very last question would be when we can hear exactly about your future games and the two projects that you're working on. Because like you said, people are waiting for these games and me too. So when we can hear at least some of one information about even a demo, like you mentioned, or a test phase or a new trailer.
So I'm not sure if this is finalized. I think we have to do a few things uh, for this. I'm going to have to double check it. But I guess I can give two little spoilers for everybody. Is that we're going to be at Steam Next Fest, and we're going to have a demo out by then. But I think that we might have a demo out. I forget if Next Fest is earlier or later than Ludonarracon, because we got into Ludonarracon.
Nice.
So excited about
Nice.
that! No one
Congrats.
has ever heard of Ludonarracon on the team, and we got the acceptance email, and I went fucking ballistic, and everyone's like, "Well, what is it?" And I'm like, it's Ludonarracon, guys." So I think we might have a demo out by then too. Otherwise, we have like all these social media accounts. They're on everywhere. I don't do social media. I've never been good at it. But
That's the
we have a whole
devil
bunch of.
of the development phase, right? You have to market the game as well.
I like to tell people about the cool stuff I'm doing. I'm just not used to like being like, okay, so for like Blue Sky I have to do this, but like then I got to set up like a reminder to do like the thing for Threads. Okay, got it.
I was so lucky
uh,
that I was up late watching the live show of that event that I saw your game on. I'm not sure what event was that.
oh, that was probably DreamHack in Atlanta.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I
So
messaged you right
one of
after
the
it. Yeah.
things is going off to like show the game out to people.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, I had an older brother, and if it was a single player game, like we'd take turns. I'm the younger kid. I'm gonna die, and so he would play. And I'll get a little secret. I loved watching him play. I loved watching people play because again, you get to see them play differently. You get to see them play like a different way. They make choices differently. So the Nintendo effect for games of just like pleasure from watching people, oh my god, I'm just the voyeur, just like watching people play. I love it. And so whenever like we go out and we're showing off whatever game it is, I love when people play games in front of me and I can just see them. They're playing one of the puzzles and they're confused and they don't get it and they're clicking around and then all of a sudden they go, "Oh, I know what to do." It's a good feeling.
Very true. Very
Love that.
true.
So
Love your
if there's
attitude, man. Love your
anyone out
attitude.
there, I'll show my game off to you.
Love your attitude, man. Love your attitude and mentality to games. Love that. Love that. We need more
Thank you.
more people like you in our life. We need more people like you. Keep making games. I always say to my guests, but it's true for you too. Keep making games. Change the word for the
Will
better,
do.
my
Will
friend.
do.
Thank you. And thanks everyone, by the way, who joined us for today's episode with our friend here, Remy. Don't forget to wishlist the games. Don't forget to try out the demo soon, hopefully. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
be on the lookout for all the cool games from our friend here. And don't forget to share your thoughts and feelings about the games you have seen today's episode. And thank you, by the way, Remy. It was really a
Thank
pleasure
you,
and an
Remulto.
honor for joining us for today's episode. Like I said, I will need some more of your minutes of stream. But for those who are watching us live, thank you for joining us for today's episode. Have a great day, night, or evening, depending where you live. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye,
Bye
guys.
bye. Bye bye.